I remember sitting in the bleachers in prison in the rec yard shortly after arriving. I was watching people play softball and thinking, there's something seriously wrong with your life. You're in prison. Dear community, I grew up West River. I grew up in a loving family and community. I didn't experience a whole lot in the ways of adversity as a child. I graduated high school, and since part of my upbringing was a sense of duty to our country, I joined the Air Force. I lived most of my life plagued by my limiting beliefs. Of course, I didn't recognize them. I knew nothing about limiting beliefs. It didn't seem like I put my energy into life. I had a standard of life, which is good enough. And since good enough requires no energy, I coasted through life with decent grades in school with no effort. But I built a life on negative energy, an energy of inadequacy, forgetfulness, and scarcity, with a constant sense of impending disaster. I completely lacked critical thinking skills. Even when I made good decisions, they weren't well thought out. I allowed life to happen to me. Anytime positive energy arose, when I did make a plan, I let people squash it. I gave them permission to do that. Life seemed to have a cloud over it. I still don't know where that energy, or lack thereof, came from. Since I rarely put energy or thought into making decisions, major life decisions were also made with little energy and thought, including relationships. As you can imagine, making those kinds of decisions with energy and no critical thinking did not go well. I found myself in repeated destructive relationships. With my passivity in life combined with these feelings of inadequacy and forgetfulness, I allowed people to manipulate me and take advantage of me. I eventually found myself on the receiving end of an abusive relationship. I thought it was what I deserved. I felt lucky to have someone who cared about me, and it was always my fault that she was angry and violent. I was stupid. I was lazy. Nobody cared about me but her. That ended in disaster. My daughters were abused. I lost my son to violence. I ended up in prison for life. I've been incarcerated for 25 years. I remember sitting in the bleachers in prison in the rec yard shortly after arriving. I was watching people play softball and thinking, there's something seriously wrong with your life. You're in prison. I knew I had to figure out what had happened and how to correct that. A big first change came when my priest gave me a Leo Buscaglia book called Love. I did not want to read about love. I was done with that. But, at his urging, I read it. It was not what I expected. It wasn't about romantic love. It was about the love of self and the basis for all other types of love. I discovered that I did not love myself. I hadn't even considered it. I did not think of myself of being worthy of love. I spent the next 18 years working on myself through my faith, by using the library to basically redo high school since I didn't pay much attention at the time, and through reading personal development books. I had a really great spiritual director and mentor who really helped me grow. I tried to be the best dad I could, given my limited circumstances. Both of my girls were adopted by my family, both graduated from high school and college, and were successful young women. After they graduated from high school, I felt my life had no real purpose. I wasn't really living. I was barely existing. In 2024, I signed up for a course called Leaders of Tomorrow. It came highly recommended by a couple of chapel volunteers, but I didn't really know why I was taking it. I didn't care about becoming a more effective leader in prison. I soon discovered that they weren't teaching anything that I had read in those 24 years. But for some reason, things started clicking during the course. Near the end of the course, Tamian told me a story of a woman he sees regularly who had the standard answer when she was asked, "How was your day?" And it was, "Hanging in there." A couple days later, one of the guys from class asked me how my day was going, And I started to give my standard answer of, "It's another day." Before those words made it to my mouth, Tamien's voice popped into my head, and for the first time in 25 years, I said, "I'm having a really good day." That changed my life like nothing before. I haven't had a genuinely bad day since. Now most of my days are great days, and I am so much more joyful. I began Author of My Life in the spring of 2025. Again, with the old integrated low energy approach to life. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be that serious about life. I had seen no real purpose in my life for a long time. By stepping into a life on purpose with intention, I began to love and appreciate life, myself, my family, and all the creation like never before. My faith life was imbued with new energy. I am so much more grateful for the gift of life and family. Now life is filled with energy, of creation, of love, abundance, connection, and family. I expect good in life. I expect abundance. I'm in the best frame of mind in my entire life. This past year has been the best year in at least 30 years, if not my entire life. My life has changed. It's beautiful and it is rich. I owed a debt of gratitude to Tamien, Dawn Marie, Manny, and Vonnie, all the benefactors and corrections officers who have been instrumental in bringing Leaders of Tomorrow and Author of My Life into the prison and into my life. And to my boss, Tammy, for her encouragement to attend these courses, which she also completed. Thank you to all of you. You have changed my life. John. South Dakota has a once-in-a-generation opportunity, not just to build new structures, but to build a new system of support, belief, and human dignity. We say we want to be best in class. This is where it starts, not with concrete and policy alone, but by investing in people who have never truly been seen. If we're going to lead, let it be with courage, with commitment, and with compassion that shows up. Let's lead boldly together. Together, we can rewrite what's possible.